Hello and welcome to week 9 of PA117. This week we're in chapter 8 and 9 of your book, Pharmacy Technician Law and Ethics. So I wanted to go over a few of those details with you in those chapters because your discussion is out of that in your quiz. But I also wanted to talk to you about the last project that's due this week, your final paper project. It is talking about medical issues and an ethical medical issue. So if you're having trouble finding a subject, let me know. I would love to go over that with you. And then it basically asks you different questions and how to follow that in a paper. So make sure that you look at that and include those things. It is a 4-page paper. If you've never written a paper before, reach out to me and I can help you organize it and how it should look in a 4-page paper. Really, that's not a lot of room to talk about much. And if you think it is, you let me know, because you've got probably half page that should be introduction and half page that should be conclusion. So that's a full page, and then only 3 pages left to talk about your ethical issue, which is one, stating the issue, then telling your opinion, giving pros and cons, and all those questions about it. So make sure that you reach out to me if you have any trouble with that. Okay, chapter 8 starts on page 189, and we're talking about state laws and pharmacy practice. So let me see, there was just a couple of things I wanted to point out to you. Basically, the state laws that affect the pharmacy practice, like we're talking about the minimum requirements that you have to work in a pharmacy. And some of these are going to be state to state. In the state of Missouri, where I live, you have to have a license from the state to be a pharmacy technician. And in a pharmacy technician in Tennessee, for example, you don't have to have a license, but they do want you to be certified. So most states do recognize that you need to be a certified pharmacy technician. They do not require it, but do recognize it. So that's something that I really want for you guys to do at the very end of this, is to take your certification exam and show that you have that certification. It gets you a better job and gets you a better paying job. Okay, and obviously the OSHA, it goes back to talking about OSHA and how you need to have that certification to open a pharmacy. Processing of prescriptions. This is really interesting. How you receive the prescription, how you translate the prescription, how you fill the prescription, checking NDC numbers, how you're checking auxiliary labels. If you see on page 195, these are auxiliary labels. These are little warning labels that you put on the prescription bottle. You've probably seen these if you've picked up a prescription in the pharmacy, like warning, don't shake or do shake before using, take only at bedtime, this may cause drowsiness, take with food. Those are called auxiliary labels or warning labels. Okay, and then patient counseling. This is so important to know that it needs to be offered from the technician. So we always offer, hey, have you taken this medication before? And if they say yes, okay, great. So they probably had counseling on it. If no, we definitely want them to talk to a pharmacist on how to take the medication. So offering counseling. And then compounding. Some of you have talked about that you want to go into the compounding area of pharmacy. Compounding is basically making creams, ointments, emulsions, that is not regular medication. So you're using your hands, you're making medications. Can be really interesting, especially if you work in a pharmacy that maybe works for the zoo or makes for animals. They need compounds. They can't just take regular medication. So make sure that you read up on that. There's something called sterile compounding. There's something that's just pharmacy grade compounding, so you'll want to look at that. Okay, going to chapter 9, just a couple of things I wanted to point out before I am done here. There's a lot about what the pharmacist has to go through, the licensing that they need, the renewal that they need to go to, the continuing education requirements. That's something else with the pharmacy technician. If you do get certified, you will need to take continuing education credits. to make sure that your certification is up to date every 2 years. So you'll want to read about that. We talk about hospital, long-term care, and then the Joint Commission and accreditation. So you'll want to learn or you read about that. And that's a pretty quick chapter. And then the status of pharmacy technician, what you can and cannot do in a retail setting, in a hospital setting, and then what our liability is. So make sure that you read over that, because then you know the ins and outs of your job. I hope you have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon.